Somehow, this drama only continues to get worse. No, not this one. I mean the unemployed drama. There we go. As always, Mr. I Learned Empathy at the age of 30 has learned absolutely fuck all from the comments and backlash he received on his content cop on H3. He just continues to spiral into madness. But before we get into the new stuff exactly, I'd like to point out a few things from my last video about iDubbbz, make some corrections, and respond to some comments. There's a timestamp on the screen if you want to skip all that, I'd recommend it. First of all, in my video, I said that Tana was 17 during the content cop on her. I guess she was actually 18. I swear I heard somebody say 17 in a video. I think it might have been Ian himself, to be honest, but I can't seem to find the clip. I did the math, which is not exactly my strong suit, and 17 checked out at the time. To be fair, I was only a year off. Second, I think I confused certain parts of the story between both of the creator clash events. Error on my part. Also, I really dumbed down the whole Hassan and H3 beef because it wasn't the focus of my video, so I ended up oversimplifying it to Ethan is pro-Israel, Hassan is pro-Palestine. Ultimately, that is kind of the gist, but to get into the weeds, Ethan is supportive of Israel but has nuances and is still fairly critical of their government's actions, just wants an end to the war mostly. Meanwhile, Hassan basically says that Ethan is vile and evil for not wanting all Israelis to die. I mean, honestly, that's tame for Hassan.
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it, I'm saying it.
This guy is basically the left's version of Nick Fuentes. And finally, some people commented about how I didn't include the Max Mofa wedding situation and Anissa hitting on Leafy. I just felt it wasn't really relevant to the topic, which was the downfall of iDubbbz. Anyway, on to the new juicy stuff. iDubbbz, after the content cop, uploaded a content deputy, another banger.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Content Deputy.
It goes from saying, I thought Ethan would be an adult, to making fun of his tattoos.
I was hoping that if I made a video about Ethan, he would act like an adult. I have quite a few options here. I can show your tattoos in all of their glory, or I can show that your tattoo made it to the top of awful taste but great execution subreddit, which is not a good thing. I mean, it might be a good thing for the artists that you work with, because that means that they did a good job from a technical standpoint, but it's sort of a failure in every other aspect.
He takes an incredibly long time discussing his boxing event creator clash in this video too.
I was hoping that if I made a video about Ethan, he would act like an adult and he would keep the attacks directed at me and Anissa. Unfortunately, I was wrong in thinking that, because Ethan, in a desperate attempt to attack and smear Anissa and I, he started attacking our charity event. I'm done being nice to Ethan. I gave it a chance. My sincerity and my empathy in that last video was real.
I hate how condescending he sounds, how the tone beneath his words is always boasting of how empathetic and good he is. We all know good people don't need to tell others how good they are. iDubbbz, on the other hand, has to make every other fucking video about it, until he says,
I was very quiet during the second creator clash because I was afraid of how that would impact other people. This year I said I'm gonna do something different. I'm going to fight back if someone's trying to attack me. So that's what I did. And now I've realized, like, I can't really have my cake and eat it too. It's either you're gonna talk shit like a foul beast on the internet, or you're gonna have a charity event.
I decided I'm gonna continue this internet drama instead of run a charity event. He has a job with YouTube, yet has the most unemployed mindset imaginable. He also can't seem to decide whether he's Mr. Empathy Man, doing this to help, like he's a helping hand like the hamburger helper, or if he's on his TikTok villain arc trying to hurt H3.
I mean, I get that he's scared and offended, but this was the whole fucking point of my video, Ethan.
You also might notice that he throws around the word harassment a lot in this video. It's like every other word. Half the time he's referring to mean comments and videos about him. Let me just say, when you're a public figure, there's a certain amount of responsibility you bear, especially when being involved in YouTube drama deliberately. Little thought experiment. iDubbbz has 7 million subs. H3 has almost 3 million. So imagine when they talk shit about each other, out of a total of 10 million people watching, how many do you think might see the shit talk and go decide to leave a mean comment, feeling inspired by that? At least a few thousand from both sides. It's not harassment, you're a public figure in a very public drama, publicizing it as much as possible. If you were being actively swatted, doxxed, people were showing up to your house, maybe calling CPS on you, that would be harassment. I hate how he uses this word so casually, like it's a fucking anime reference. He also blames Ethan for the CPS call.
To be honest, I'm very proud that I didn't immediately jump to Ethan and Neela's defense, because when you look into the story, it actually looks a lot shittier for Ethan and Neela. And I do mean that literally. People are quite reasonably concerned. And so, yes, anyone who's seeing that content might be concerned enough to call CPS.
Pretty fucked up. Though what else has happened since I last made my video covering this? Well, the Donut Operator situation. Basically, there was a guy named Donut Operator who made an OnlyFans account where he posted his meat. Not his peebus, but like steaks and stuff. That was the joke. Oh, haha, I'm posting my meat, whatever. He did this during 2020 and sent it to Ian, who he was friends with at the time. Ian accused him of making fun of Anissa and making fun of sex work. You can't make this shit up. Leave her alone, man. And Ian basically never talked to Donut Operator again. Fast forward to now when Donut Operator talked about all this on a podcast and the clip went viral on Twitter. iDubbbz, I can't believe this is his profile picture. You need to turn in your balls, man. Anyway, he replied saying, conveniently leaving out that your girlfriend at the time was pursuing OnlyFans, but you were too pussy to deal with the criticism, so you made a parody account. No, I don't want to be friends with a coward. I don't see how this is cowardice. If anything, this sounds like a joke, which you seem to be totally fine with back in the day.
A good amount of people are just doing the reasonable thing and just making jokes and laughing about it.
Yeah, the jokes about OnlyFans and stuff were totally normal. This guy is such a fucking loser. I can't. Anyway, Anissa, the real protagonist here, jumps in and adds this completely unrelated tangent. He also took us to a gun show where a child accidentally fired a gun that was loaded on a sales table into the crowd and everyone nonchalantly said ND in unison, like it wasn't a big deal. If you're wondering what that has to do with anything, I'm just as lost in the Smash Bros. Great Maze as you are. I guess they went to a gun show where a kid accidentally fired a gun and nobody else seemed to give a shit. This was apparently the most traumatic thing ever because Yoko Ono would go on to tweet about it repeatedly. Gun people freak me the fuck out. It reminds me of those Discord screenshots you see from oversensitive people who can't take a joke to save their life. She continues going on about how this was the most horrible thing ever and gun people are super bad. And if you're wondering the million-dollar question, what does this have to do with Donut Operator? We're all kind of wondering that. For taking them to a gun show, I guess he's worse than Hitler or something, I don't know. Between her deranged posting and arguing with people, she seems to tweet about cooking and mental health shit a lot. Listen up, sniveling bitches, my tummy hurts. It's somehow always the mental health awareness motherfuckers who are always the most psychotic. Like, you're 30, this is some shit not even emo high school girls are posting. Anyway, as I was putting together the elements for this video, a bombshell dropped. H3 interviewed iDubbbz's boxing coach for Creator Clash, and the reveals here are insane. Before they even started, when the video was announced with the boxing coaches in the thumbnail, iDubbbz and his girlfriend tried to quickly do damage control and texted the coach and his wife before the H3 interview. I'll try to go through all the lore here quickly. They blew through some of the Creator Clash money, you know, for charity, to have parties.
We're talking about that long before, about how they had to fly in all these people. First of all, they rented the hotel for over 300 creators and flew a lot of them in. When the first year it was much more scaled back. We just had a couple floors of like some place, like a nice suite place, but it wasn't extravagant at all. And then the second year they did that full hotel for 300 creators. They flew a lot of people in. One of the people they flew in was Froggy Tonic, and they flew him in from France.
That's insane.
They rented out the whole hotel for 300 creators. And when we asked them if Ian's dad was going to be there, because he was there for the first event, they said they couldn't afford to fly Ian's dad in. It was too expensive. Because she would always talk about a certain group of people. It was like somebody named Pokimane and all these other people. And she would always talk about how she wants like them to be there and she wants to be a part of their group.
You dress nicely for the gala, that there would be pictures and such.
We found out it was a red carpet event that they flew Getty Images in for. So they straight up flew Getty Images to take pictures for the event. Say when we asked them about it and I said, hey, is there a gala? And they said, oh, you guys don't even worry about it. You don't have to go to that. And I said, what? This is what Anissa said. And I said, what? And I said, well, some of the sparring partners got invited. And she said, I don't know how they got on that list. They weren't supposed to be on the list. And in my mind, I'm like, Ian had invited them. He sent them the email personally.
What a disgusting human being she seems to be. I'm sorry.
Oh, she didn't want any of us there. She only wanted like creators there or people that would, I guess, make her feel like she could get more clout.
They lost like $250,000 from this event. They were operating in the red even before the event, yet they still absolutely needed to bring in Pokimane and have parties. The contrast between how shitty they are and how much they paint themselves as good people is just fucking astonishing. They'll shit on you while trying to claim the moral high ground at every turn. That's basically what the whole content cop was. Flew in Mr. Rich White Girls Deserve to Get Date Raped at Colleges instead of his own dad, too.
Henry College is like doing one good thing, which is that like, if you have these millionaire, billionaire, wasp fail sons, at least taking them out of other colleges so they can only do date rape to other billionaire, millionaire failed daughters is like, in some respects, you know, from a utilitarian perspective, of course, a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like,
though it seems like iDubbbz is no stranger to daddy issues, he actually fired the coach because the boxing coach reminded him of his dad yelling at him.
We went back to the hotel, and then they were eating at Denny's, and they said, we need to have a meeting. So I have to go to Denny's. And they pretty much then talked about how they were going to have to fire me because I reminded Ian of his father when his father would yell at him as a kid.
Holy shit. I'll just say this, when you have a trainer or a coach, that's somewhat supposed to be like a father, somebody who wants to see you do better, even if that means getting you to work extra hard and yelling at you, giving you discipline. You need discipline. Like, that's life. That's how it works. That's what a good coach should do. I know this because my dad was my soccer coach for like 5 years, and he was really good at it. Some of those years we went undefeated, many of them nearly undefeated. For iDubbbz to say, you remind me of my dad yelling, I can't handle this, like, holy fuck. We slipped into the wrong timeline. Who's supposed to coach you? A Canadian? Oh, okay. Punch to the right. Oh, but not that hard. Bro wants his boxing coach to be Glass Joe from Punch-Out. Ian's also a stinky boy, apparently.
He stunk up the gym so bad you had to move him away from people.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. Let me just sit with that.
Not really that surprised. And the boxing coaches also point out how Anissa claims that she's a Muslim. What?
But she loved AB and Lena. She always loved them because she would be like, they're Muslim and I'm Muslim.
Yeah.
And I was like, everything you do is haram. Like, nothing you do is... I have Muslim fighters.
Yes.
They pray 5 times a day. They
don't touch women,
like,
besides your wife.
They're a couple of them are from Dagestan, right? And in Dagestan, you're not allowed to shake a woman's hand. Like, but if they put their hand on, they're very respectful, right?
This is what I don't understand about progressives. They always antagonize and demonize Christianity while being super partial to Islam, even though Islamic values are much more antithetical to all of their views and way less forgiving than Christianity is. A Christian would look at an OnlyFans model and be like, you know, oh, you need to repent. A Muslim would cut off their hand for posting that kind of content. Their views are basically just Western bad. Anyway, we all make jokes that iDubbbz is a cuck and a simp, but it's apparently so much worse than that.
She was hitting on one of his sparring partners and was obsessed with him and gave him a VIP pass to the event.
A lot of his sparring partners got the passes, but she definitely had a big crush on one of the guys that would come in and spar with them, because anytime they would spar, she would just be super into it and watch every moment. And then, even if he would like beat Ian up, she'd be very into it. And then,
I want to say that, I want to say that before. So Anissa never gave shout outs to Michael training Ian at all, but she put out the first video of Ian like getting rocked in sparring when Ian was sparring with her crush. Yeah, it was our friend Gabe. She shared it. And we have a clip too. You guys can show.
I would call him Gorgeous Gabe.
100%.
I do, but it is also Ian that allows it to happen.
He enjoys it. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Feel sorry for Ian.
What is happening with them?
Yes, he enjoys it. We used to feel sorry for him.
I did.
Yeah, we both did. We both did. Michael felt sorry for him up until CC2. After CC1, I cut that shit off because I was like, you know what? She's a fucking liar and he's a liar. And he enjoys all the punishment that she gives him. Yeah. So let it be.
And afterwards, everybody's hanging out, and she walks up to Ian and she goes, "You're hungry."
Yes.
And then so they had to leave because Ian was hungry. So she tells Ian when he was hungry. We're like, "What the hell?"
You're hungry. Eat. The crushing on another boxer stuff is hearsay, but I'd believe it. iDubbbz also refused to train more than once a day.
So the reason we found this out was because I wanted Ian to start doing 2 training sessions a day, and I said, "Ian, you need to start doing 2 a day." And he was like, "Why should I do 2 a days?" And I told him, I was like, "Ian, you're not good at boxing, man. My brand is at stake. So you need to do 2 a days. That's what pro boxers do." And then I told him, I said, "My brand is on the line." I said, "You can go back to YouTube. My whole life is fighting and coaching fighters." And I'm like, "So if you don't have a good performance, that's going to look bad on me." After the first event, for the first event, he didn't do any of his cardio. So that's why I ended up gassing out so bad.
And even juicier, Anissa once said she had a pact with her mom to marry a millionaire one day.
Because you've already exposed her for being like the first person that Ian's ever been with, right?
Yes.
So in my opinion, what happened was she even told us, she used to always tell her mom, "I'm going to be with a millionaire." And so we
Yes.
think that once
She
she
used
kind
to
of got
tell
on,
her mom that she would be with a millionaire? How do you know
Her mom
that?
told her that it had to be someone rich.
How did you know that?
Well, she told
she
us.
would tell us that.
It was, I remember exactly. It was when we were in Vegas going to the other podcast, and we were inside the Uber, and we were with Ian and Anissa. And Anissa said that like her mom only had two expectations for her to marry someone that was rich and also to be of her religion, right? And so she said that Anissa goes, well, I mean, I didn't get someone that was of my religion, but at least I got one part of it right. He's rich. And then she like laughed about it, and then he was in the car, and you could tell he was bothered by it.
I was bothered.
Who
by it.
wouldn't be bothered by
What?
that?
Just flat out admits that she's a gold digger. How the hell is iDubbbz still with her? Anyway, the wife of the boxing coach was apparently married off as a child bride at the age of 12, in America by the way, because I guess there's certain loopholes that let child marriages happen somehow, so she was in support of a bill to ban such practices. Ian and Anissa knew of her story, and when she asked them to spread awareness of the issue and help them get the message out, both of them left her on red.
I'm a child bride survivor, and at the age of 12, I was put into a child marriage from the time I was 12 until 23. Within my child marriage, I had 2 kids when I was 15 and 17. And this happened in America, okay? And Ian and Nisa are well aware of my story because I've had them in my home. They've seen my kids and everything. I gave my public testimony to support the bill, and once I was on Seattle Times and television and everything. And I reached out to Ian and Nisa, and I asked them if they could help, share the information, because it was really important to me that this bill passed. And they just both left me on red. But guess what? Today, when they saw the highlights on Ian's story that we were going to be on here, Anissa was texting me and Michael, and they're like,
they reached.
Yeah.
Yeah. They ignored us when we were like trying to fight child marriage, but then when they found out,
Are they pro child marriage?
They take a hard stance.
That's why it makes one. Begs the question.
I could tell you why they did it. All of these Bread 2 people are the exact fucking same. The movement is about them more than it is the movement or anything that they stand on. Just like Trump with MAGA, none of them have principles that they actually stand on. It's all about me, me, me. To the detriment of my relationship and the sacred practice of intimacy, I want to do OnlyFans because I like the idea. Because child brides in the US don't personally affect Ian and Anissa, they couldn't give less of a fuck. This whole content cop drama in the first place, from H3 to Hassan to Ian, basically made the Israel-Palestine conflict about them. iDubbbz didn't acquire empathy. He bought that shit off Temu, and it shows.
We actually had asked Ian if he could help us open a gym, not even financially, because at the time we were okay. So we were like, hey, could you just help us out by signing as a guarantor? And he had told us in no world could he ever help us.
He said that?
Yes.
Literally.
He said it like in a mean way?
Yes.
In no world. He said, in no world could I help you.
Why would he respond like that?
Yeah, but instead they responded with, in no world would we or would we like help you guys.
Why
or
so mean? Why were they so mean?
And I believe that was Anissa texting, not Ian, because those are her words. She always uses the words in no world. That's her favorite word.
So yeah, I'd recommend checking out the whole video on that. Ian also made a video on concern trolling, which is where you express disingenuous and fake concern with the motive of undermining, derailing, or gaslighting people in a legitimate discourse. I'll let him explain.
The most obvious definition for concern trolling is when someone is pretending to be concerned about a particular subject or cause, when in reality, they don't give a fuck. They're just doing it to either get attention, start a fight, derail the conversation. To be honest, it's very effective.
I'm at a loss for words, genuinely. There is no fucking way he doesn't see the irony here. There is no way. His entire content cop was shitting on Ethan for an hour while pretending to be so concerned and so empathetic and in good faith. Literally, the whole fucking video was a concern troll. He has to know this, right? Like, this has to be intentional. Like, this whole entire direction with iDubbbz has got to be some social experiment coordinated by everyone involved. I refuse to believe that someone with as much wit as old iDubbbz had would genuinely lack this much self-awareness. Like, it's scary. Honestly, to me, this all seems like the 2020 effect. No, not like the Jeepers Creepers 2016 was almost 10 years ago, Scoob. But ever since 2020, American culture and especially politics have seemed to change so hard from then on. Like, at first there was the SJW era, where you had everyone on the right and the left coming together to make fun of idiotic things, making edgy jokes, and generally just having fun with mutual respect for each other at the end of the day, no matter how much they disagreed. But then with all the baggage 2020 carried from politicizing COVID to the giant black Black Lives Matter uprising to the 2020 election fraud shit in January 6th and Kyle Rittenhouse, it feels like that year just changed everything. And everyone from that pre-2020 era seems to have either gone down the alt-right pipeline in some way or turned into fucking Hassan.
This is so insane.
9/11 was a bad thing and I am sorry to all the victims.
Alright, I'm gonna end the video with this. It really seems to me like Ian is stuck in the cycle of a toxic relationship. I mean, no shit, but like, really, hear me out. This is a pretty common occurrence. You get stuck in an abusive or manipulative relationship because you desperately crave validation and attention to match something that you missed in childhood. Or perhaps deeper, you crave the instability you may have grown up with in your youth from, say, a broken household. This happens all the time. Like the girl you know who keeps getting back together with her abusive boyfriend that constantly cheats on her or even hits her. I use that example because that gender dynamic is more common, but it happens vice versa, case in point, with women antagonizing their partners. iDubbbz seems to be stuck in that loop, that desperate need for something in his life that keeps him running back to her like a whipped dog. It's extremely sad, but everyone in my audience take note. You guys might end up in those situations, or you could be in one of those right now. This is what you become if you don't have the courage within you to break up with them. I know that leaving someone you've been with for a while is hard, it leaves that void, and with someone as toxic as Anissa, it can feel like opening up a cabinet to let all the plates and bowls fall and break everywhere. She would obviously blow up and make a deal of it and try to ruin his life, but it's for the plot. It's character development, unironically, because when you don't do that, when you choose that ounce of comfort and never confront your problems, this is what you become. This is what you turn into.